The timeline of my project by me, Patrick Donovan. What was my project? Chapter 1 of the timeline. My original project, was going to be a cleanup of the local ponds and parks around town by volunteer systems so I can discover the environment and the biology of the town that I live in. My project now. I then switched my project to creating a board game because I then soon realized that the biology project that I had was not going to be one that I would like in the future, and so I changed it. My project now, creating a board game, is super similar to another student in the LDL program named Charles Barra. He's creating a card game. So now I had to start the design phase of my game, so I had to think about what it was going to be like and how are people going to play it, which starts chapter 2 of the timeline, the design phase. Inspiration for the game. For inspiration for the game that I was creating, Mr. Daly brought in several games for me and Charlie, the student I mentioned earlier, to play so we could get ideas and an understanding of the game we wanted to make. Some of the inspirations that I used for my game are Exploding Kittens, The Deep, and Fireball Island. 3 things I had to think about when creating my game. What was going to make my game different? Why would people want to play my game and want to play the game with their family more than Life, Monopoly, Trouble, those types of games? Then we had the rules. Similar to the first one, which was going to make my game, what was going to make my game different, the rules had a big impact on how people were going to be able to play and what would make the game fun to play. Then we have the goal. The goal was too hard and not competitive enough. The game wouldn't be fun to play at all, or if it was too easy and the rules were too lenient, then the game would just be too easy and there would be no competitiveness to it. Creating the game board. I then had to think about what would the game board look like, and it took a lot longer than expected because I didn't realize how much effort it takes into creating something new and not something that was already made and changing it. I'm making designs for the cards. I originally made this card designs on Google Slides, which I thought looked good for me, until my friend Charles, the student I mentioned earlier, is also a life design, recommended me to use Canva Write cards after he showed me his. Then I decided to scrap the cards I already had, and so then I made my cards on Canva, and now they looked a lot better and a lot cleaner, just overall just a lot better. That brings us into chapter 3, which is bringing the game to life. The first problem. After I finished the design phase, I procrastinated a lot and used class for other things like studying for other classes or just goofing off in general with Charles, like I mentioned earlier. The solution for that wasn't really a solution. Exhibition night was coming up and I had to rush my project to be physical, or else it would just be like another critique night and Mr. Daly would not have that fly. What I had to do to bring my cards into fruition. The cards. The cards were a big part of my game, and so I would have to really focus on making the cards, make them look super nice for when my game would come into fruition. Then I had the board. The board took some work, like I said earlier, because the photo I wanted to use to put on the board was not working. It was making it really difficult, and that was making it very aggravating. Then we had the overview of the rules. The overview and the rules took a lot of creativity and prototypes because I had to go through many things, and like I said earlier, creating something from scratch is super hard, and I had to focus on making this over the cards in the board itself. Starting the process of making the physical game. Mr. Daly recommended me to go to the graphic design teacher, Mr. Boothby, about making my project, which helped me out a lot. It allowed me to put together my game board, my cards, and my overview as well. Making the board game. Or making the board for the game. To make the board game, I used the game board from the game Clue, then stuck a giant sticker of a Mayan period on top of the board, which would simulate the theme that I was going for the game. It would bring in the competitiveness and the time pace of which my game was going. Laminating my cards. The base of the car was cardstock, and then I laminated them using 3 millimeter thick lamination. I laminated them using a thermal laminator, thanks to Mr. Boothby, like I mentioned earlier. Then cutting them out. I had to cut them out into the right dimensions because if they were too big or too small, they wouldn't feel like a normal card or like a normal playing card. Then Mr. Boothby had this also machine which would cut the corners of the cards to make them nice and round and feel good in the hands for my game. Which goes into stage 4, or not stage 4, chapter 4 of the timeline, which would be exhibition night. Exhibition night. Exhibition night was a big night for me because the first time where I was actually presenting the physical copy of my game and not just a diagram or makeshift copy, so what my project was going to look like. So I had to really prepare for exhibition night and make it the best night I possibly ever had, and make it the best night I had so far. The 3 things I had to think about and prepare for at exhibition night. I have concentration. I had to make sure I was focusing on the people and not looking around, and be constantly aware of who's talking to me and the people around me, my audience, and my speech. I had to make sure I was speaking clear and precise and not stuttering. And then my game. I had to make sure the layout was simple and easy for people to understand. Because if it was too hard or too complicated, then maybe it wouldn't be a success, and people would be able to understand it better. It would be a lot easier to understand for like younger people as well. That goes us into the last chapter of the part, in which is chapter 5 of what I've gained and learned. Over the year of being a life designer, I've learned life design has taught me that school is turning us into robots and has turned our minds away from working on ourselves and being passionate about what we like as people, and turning us into focusing our minds on just focusing on one thing, just trying to get a good letter grade. It has also taught me to focus on myself as a person, and to not focus on little details, and more focus on myself as a person, and like focus on myself, self-improvement, and just making myself feel alright. So we're gonna pause that. Reloaded. It also expanded my thinking into thinking outside the box and having a broader thought instead of focusing on such of the fine details that there are. I can think broader, and that actually helped me out in school and outside of school, instead of just focusing on LDL and just classes inside of school. Thank you for listening to me and my POL in the life design class.